Hello, candle lovers! Thank you for tuning in to me today. My name is Greg, and this is all about candles. Happy Sunday, everyone. Every Sunday, I like to do the weekly wax wrap-up. This is when I go through all of the candles that I finished burning recently, talk a little bit about how they smelled, how they performed, all of that good stuff. After that, we are going to talk about Candle Day. I can't believe it. It is a month away from Candle Day at Bath & Body Works. A little bit less than a month. It's happening soon. I feel like at this point, almost all of the news about what we're going to be getting has leaked. So we're going to talk about that, do a little bit of an update from Goose Creek. I have a burning question to answer and a recap of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I know that not everything in this video is going to appeal to everybody, so I do mark everything with pretty detailed chapters. So feel free to skip ahead to the parts of the video that you're interested in. Let's start things off with Touch of Gold by Bath & Body Works. Man, I really ended up enjoying this candle, enjoying this fragrance. I thought that the packaging on this Touch of Gold is beautiful. Really lovely. I think this looks a bit better in person than it does on camera. It's very sparkly, super iridescent, very appropriate for the name of this fragrance. Just had a boring lid on this one though, which is always a bit of a bummer. Just a boring lid covered in dirt and fingerprints. Anyways, yeah, Touch of Gold. Ooh, I liked this. The scent notes on here are bright blackberries, golden orange blossom, and decadent tonka. And I would say decadent is a pretty good word to describe this fragrance. It definitely smells kind of rich, luxurious. I do think that this fragrance smells a little bit more higher end than what we usually get from Bath & Body Works for their single fragrance launches these days. It's very trendy right now to have these sort of metallic, kind of brassy undertones in a bunch of fragrances. It's very bright. The blackberry does come across. There's like a bit of a deep, rich berry fruitiness. To me, it comes across more like neroli oil than it does a really fresh and soft and sweet orange blossom. To me, it comes across more like a neroli, and there is definitely like a smoothness in the base of it from that tonka. It's quite a brassy fragrance, but not in like an abrasive way. It does remind me a little bit of Platinum, which I believe came out for Christmas last year. Don't quote me on that. I feel like last year Christmas was Platinum. Before that, was it Luminous? Before that, it was Dream Bright. Bath & Body Works has a long history of putting a lot of effort into their single fragrance launches for Christmas time. I think this is the best one that they've done in a little while. I really liked it. When I smelled this candle on cold, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like super impressed. By the time I got to about the third burn on here, I was like, okay, I'm all in. I really like the way that this smells. It is very perfumey. Like, it's definitely one of those fragrances that lends itself a little bit more, I think, to like a body care fragrance, a perfume, moisturizer, all that stuff they have out for it. I mean, we got this fragrance in every format, you know, from body butter to glitter sprays, like everything. And this candle, I really warmed up to it a lot. And by the time I got to the bottom of it, I was like, I'm definitely going to want to get another one. I think maybe during Candle Day, I'll grab an extra backup of this Touch of Gold. Because, yeah, I really ended up liking it. I think it's really nicely balanced. It's kind of in a medium range. Yeah, it's just really lovely. I burned this candle all the way down until there was nothing left. It did get a little bit discolored, like right at the very end there, but I think that was my fault. I do have a bit of a bad habit of letting candles burn at the end a little bit longer than I probably should, but for the most part, it was a really good clean burn. We have the thick ropey wicks on here. It never never dudded out or gave me any major like burn issues. And the strength and throw was pretty good. I'd say that in my more open space, it was around like a 6 or a 6.5. I had in the bedroom for a little while. It was definitely getting up to a 7 in there. So pretty typical strength and throw for Bath and Body Works these days. Yeah, I really like this one. I like this one so much that when there was a body care sale, I actually got the moisturizing body wash. Once again, just beautiful, sparkly, golden packaging. They had a 5 for $35 body care sale, which seems to be the new sort of once a month body care sale that they're doing here in Canada. 5 for $35, which works out to about $7 per product. So I got 5 different body washes, and Touch of Gold was one of those. I've used it like 2 or 3 times now. I do prefer the moisturizing body wash over the regular like shower gels that they put out. I just find that it's a little bit smoother, a bit creamier. It lathers really nicely. The problem with the moisturizing body washes though is they don't put them out for a lot of the fragrances. They really only put them out for those big like single fragrance launches. Although I also picked up a Snowflakes and Cashmere moisturizing body wash, which I really like as well. I'd say that this smells very similar to the way that the candle smells. I think though that, and even using this in the shower, I think I like the way that the candle smells a little bit more. Obviously the body care is going to have a little bit more of like a bit of a soapier component to it, which affects the fragrance a bit. Yeah, but it smells good though. But I do think that the candle smells nicer. Oh, so good. I really ended up enjoying this one. Like I said, this is going to be a repurchase for me. I have no reason not to recommend it to you guys. As far as the performance of the candle goes, it did really, really well. You know, most of us can get into a Bath and Body Works to smell this stuff first before we buy it. I thought the candle performed really nicely. I enjoyed it tremendously. I'm excited to get another one, to be honest with you. I also finished up Autumn from Bath and Body Works, and we haven't seen this candle in a while. I thought that the packaging on this collection was nice. I didn't think it was spectacular. This sort of front-facing label did look really nice when it was burning. There's a little bit of an opaqueness to it, and the light shone through it, and I enjoyed the way that it looked quite a bit. I burned this all the way down till there was nothing left. This candle burned really well too. We haven't had Autumn come out for a while. Don't quote me on this, but I feel like it's been almost 10 years. Like maybe the last time we got Autumn was in like 2016 or 2017, somewhere around there. It's very hard for me to keep track of this because there are so many candles at Bath and Body Works that have the word Autumn in it. And this one is just plain, singular, one word Autumn, kind of like Cher or Madonna. And of all of the Autumn named candles, I'd have to say that this is my favorite. I don't really remember it particularly well from when it came out a long time ago. And it was a candle, I think, that came out quite often, like very consistently for a little while, and then it just disappeared. I know a lot of people were really excited to get this one back. The scent notes on it are bright red gala apple, juicy fig, eucalyptus leaf, and fir balsam. This is gorgeous. This might be my new sort of favorite fall apple fragrance from Bath and Body Works. I take that back. I think that my favorite apple fragrance from Bath and Body Works is gonna remain mahogany apple, but this is a close second. This is lovely. I think something about the way they've balanced the eucalyptus, the fig gives it a little bit of a deep sweetness as opposed to that sort of like thin, watery apple sweetness. The fig in here gives it a little bit of a richer, I don't want to say a darker sweetness, but a sweetness that has a little bit more depth to it. And then The eucalyptus gives it that like cool, breezy fall air sort of vibe. Man, I really like this one. Red gala apple, juicy fig, eucalyptus leaf, and fir balsam. Yeah, there is just a little bit of a touch of some balsam in here, but it's not super noticeable. Predominantly, this is an apple fragrance, but it's just so well balanced with everything else that's happening in here. I really, really enjoyed this one. I bought a couple of backups during the last candle sale because who knows when it's gonna come back, right? This is definitely one that I wanted to have around for next year. We had colored wax on this candle, but I thought it burned really well. I burned it all the way down till there's like nothing left on here, and you can see that those wicks are still like standing tall and looking really, really good. So it never dudded out. It never gave me issues, which is, kind of rare. Oftentimes those thick ropey wicks and colored wax, you're gonna get like quite a bit of dudding out around the halfway point. That didn't happen with this candle. Really nice burn from top to bottom. I'd say that the strength and throw on this was pretty good. Probably like maxing out at like a 6 in my more open space. A 6 to me is pretty acceptable these days. Like we have to be grateful when we get a 6, I think, from Bath and Body Works. To me, that means it has a sufficient amount of presence to it. I did put it in the bedroom for a little while, and I'd say that it got up to like a 7 in there, maybe a 6.5 or a 7. Yeah, it did pretty well for the most part. It definitely wasn't a dud by any means. Oh, I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad I picked up a couple of extras. This was just lovely, so well balanced. I'm surprised it hasn't come back more frequently over the last decade because there were so many people that were so excited to hear that this candle was coming back, and now I see why. I thought that was fabulous. Really, really good. Okay, moving on. I also finished up an Autumn Drive from Bath and Body Works. This packaging I think is gorgeous. This collection, the collection that had this packaging on it, I thought was the most beautiful collection that Bath and Body Works put out this fall, with some really great fragrances in there as well. I also burned several Mahogany Vanillas from this collection, which we will get to later. Autumn Drive I thought was nice. I do believe that this came out in body care as well this year, which makes sense. It's really got that kind of typical Bath & Body Works body care vibe. The scent notes are wild raspberry, warm amber, and vanilla birch. It's that amber that really takes it into a body care place. I think I would have preferred it if the amber was toned down a little bit. And the wild raspberry, I wish that the fruit note in here was a little bit deeper and richer and jammier. And or that the amber note in here was a bit more of like a dark amber note. This is a fairly like bright amber. Vanilla birch, there is a touch of woodsiness in here and definitely some vanilla. I can't say that I would necessarily pick out birchwood. It's sort of like a vague, smooth, like woodsy note. It actually comes across a little bit more like a mahogany to me, like one of the Bath and Body Works like mahogany blends that they do really well. But the raspberry note in here I like. I wish it was a little bit deeper and jammier, but at least it's not one of those super like bright, highly pitched, like granular berry notes. It's a nice sort of smooth berry note. And yeah, I didn't think it was anything to really write home about, but I actually ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. It was a good one. The candle burned really well too. I burned it all the way down to the bottom there. Really nice, clean burn. I don't remember this ever dudding out or giving me issues with itty bitty wicks, teeny tiny flames. The strength and throw was okay. It definitely had a presence to it. It could have been a bit stronger. I'd say that in my more open space, it was giving me like a 5 or a 5.5. And also, I think that a little bit of the nuance was lost when it was burning. I'm really kind of just getting that berry note more than anything else. But it was good enough. Yeah, I don't think I ever put this in my bedroom or anything. It stayed in the more open space. Yeah, I'd say it was around like a 5.5. So I could definitely tell that it was there, but I wish it had had a little bit more oomph to it. But still, a perfectly lovely kind of run-of-the-mill Bath& Body Works fragrance. Yeah, I liked Autumn Drive. Would I repurchase it? Maybe. I think so. I think I would. I go through a lot of candles, you guys. They don't all have to be like 10 out of 10 for me. That was really pleasant and lovely. And I remember actually like reaching for it a little bit more often than I thought I would and wanting to give it a burn. Okay, I really liked this one. This is Fresh Fall Morning. This candle has come out before, but it was the first time that I tried it this year, I think. I wasn't a huge fan of the packaging on this candle. It looks a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit of a corny wallpaper to me. I'm not a big fan of like super literal images on candles. We've got like a little bookshelf, and is that a cup of coffee on here? I don't know. I would have I really prefer more abstract, like leafy designs, you know, something like this collection here. But this one was okay, and I really, really liked this fragrance. We also had kind of a fun lid on this collection as well. A fun lid is always a nice little bonus. The scent notes on this one are citrus zest, woodland sage, and red delicious apples. And I really think there's just a little touch of eucalyptus in here as well, which isn't listed. The eucalyptus gives it just this little bit of like a cooling effect. Maybe, you know, citrus zest. Sort of like eucalyptus isn't really citrusy, but it's got that sort of not even fully mentholated, but just maybe a slightly minty kind of vibe. It's very citrusy on there, and up top, I think there's just a touch of that eucalyptus. There is some apple in here, but I wouldn't say this is like an apple forward candle. I'd say it's more that sort of eucalyptus, sage, and citrus, with maybe the sage and the citrus being the most like predominant scent notes. It's got a nice sort of light, airy herbaceousness to it. And it's got that nice sort of cool vibe. I think it's very appropriately named Fresh Fall Morning. I like this one a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's got a nice nuance to it. It's well balanced. That sage note really does come across. And it's not too heavy on the apple. The apple is almost like a bit of an afterthought for me in this fragrance. Yeah, I really like this one. This will definitely be a repurchase for me. I burned it all the way down to the bottom. We had those really thin core wicks on this candle, so you had to be careful with it and watch it and maybe only let it burn for like 2 hours at a time, because you'd get like really big, deep, even wax pools. And I feel like after the 2 hour mark, I caught it sooting once, but for the most part, it was a really nice clean burn all the way down to the bottom. Those wicks are still nice and tall up in there. I wish this one had been a little bit stronger too. It was probably about a 6 though. A 6 in my more open space. I could have done with a little bit more of a punch from this one. Yeah, it smells on cold like it's gonna be stronger than it actually was when it was burning. But I thought it was okay. Like I said, a 6 in a more open space. It's kind of just where we're averaging out with Bath & Body Works candles these days. I put it in the bedroom for a while, which amplified it maybe up to like a 6.5, but nothing spectacular for strength and throw, but still perfectly lovely. I definitely think I'll repurchase this one, and I have no reason not to recommend it to you. All right, I also finished up quite a few Mahogany Vanillas. Mahogany Vanilla is definitely one of my favorite fragrances from Bath & Body Works. It might actually be my very favorite, my very favorite vanilla fragrance from Bath & Body Works. I love this one. I probably go through 1 or 2 Mahogany Vanillas a month. And this is also a fragrance that I will burn year round, you know? Winter, spring, summer, fall. I always feel like it's appropriate weather for a Mahogany Vanilla because it's just a really lovely, sweet, and rich, woodsy vanilla fragrance. This version of it is a little bit older. This one was poured in 2024. This is the latest iteration of it here. I wasn't a big fan of the sort of old-timey packaging on this version of the candle, but I actually thought it looked really nice when it was burning, and the illustrations sort of glowed and were really a little bit more easier to make out when the candle was burning, which I thought was lovely, but it does not compare to how beautiful I thought that this one was. I think that this might be one of the most beautiful mahogany vanilla candles we've had. In fact, I think this is the prettiest packaging that we've ever seen on mahogany vanilla, with a cream colored lid on this one. Just gorgeous. And also, this looked beautiful when it was burning. I didn't notice any difference at all between these two versions. They both had like thick, ropey wicks on them and white wax, and so they performed pretty identically. Gosh, I love this one. The scent notes are warm vanilla, fresh bergamot, and sweet sandalwood. I've never really picked up on the bergamot in here. I'm not getting anything sort of like fruity or citrusy whatsoever. It's just a really nice, rich, deep, creamy mahogany note and a very sweet vanilla. This is a very sweet candle, but something about the robustness of the woodsy note just makes it well balanced enough for me to be okay with the sweetness level. Not only okay with it, I love it. I absolutely love it. I was burning a lot of them all at the same time, you know, like one mahogany vanilla in the living area, one in the bedroom, one in the bathroom. It's a mahogany vanilla party all up in here. But I also burned them all individually. I'd say that this version performed very similarly to the way that it's performed in the past. I didn't notice any big differences with it. I burned it all the way down till there was nothing left. Once again, I might have let that last burn go off a little bit too long. You see a little bit of darkness starting to happen there, but for the most part, it was a really nice, clean burn from beginning to end. I do think that there was one or two burns that struggled just a bit. It wasn't full blown, like itty bitty wicks, teeny tiny flames, but it would take a while to sort of pull out and get that strength and throw going. I'd say that this was at least a 6.5 in my more open space. There's something about the woodsy sweetness in this fragrance that really projects. It does a pretty good job. Even in a more open area, we're definitely getting like a 6.5. In the bedroom, this is definitely getting up to a 7. In fact, in the bedroom with like nice deep burns on it, I'd give it a 7. I'd say it definitely touches that 7 point. Oh, so good. I love mahogany vanilla. I mean, I talk about this candle all the time. That's why I saved all 3 of the mahogany vanilla candles for one weekly wax wrap up, or else I would just be talking about this candle every single week. I love it. And once again, beautiful packaging. I do feel like mahogany vanilla sometimes comes out in pretty ugly packaging. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of this like old-timey look. And then there's also been some really kind of like blah, sort of like brownish releases of this fragrance. This is the most beautiful packaging it's come out in. And so I backed this up. When there was that good candle sale a couple weekends ago, I picked up like 4 or 5 of these because I know I just can't get enough of this one. And when it comes out in packaging that looks this good, I stock up. Okay, here's another big favorite of mine from Bath & Body Works. This is Blush Amber and Peony, and this was that beautiful sort of the drawing collection. It looked like there were all of these sort of pencil drawings all over this collection, which I thought looked really nice. And there's sort of like a faint marble patterning and texture to this wraparound that I thought was quite lovely. I mean, it's not exactly like my vibe, but I still thought it was really pretty and I enjoyed burning it. It looked pretty when it was burning. I think that the black lid gives it kind of a nice, sophisticated touch. I'm also burning Cozy Cashmere from this collection right now and enjoying that one. It's a fairly new fragrance from Bath & Body Works and it's quickly become one of my favorites. Maybe it's actually my favorite like floral from Bath and Body Works at this point. Although there's a lot more going on in this fragrance than just floral. The scent notes are sweet peony, warm musk, and golden pear, and obviously there's a considerable amount of amber in there. I feel like these scent notes are a little bit misleading. You definitely pick up on like the floral of the peony, but I also think there's like a rich sort of wine, like a berry wine note in here. It really comes across as quite a sophisticated and elegant fragrance, perhaps a perfume that an older, more handsome woman would wear, but something about like the sort of juiciness of that wine note in here just smells so good. It almost makes me like pucker up. You know what I mean? Quite a bit of amber, a little bit of musk, I think, kind of takes it into that slightly perfumey territory. Golden pear, I really can't say I'm picking up on any sort of like a stone fruit in here. I'm wondering if they've changed the scent notes a bit since the first iteration of this. I don't really get like a light, watery sort of stone fruit pear note. I would replace the golden pear note with like a rich berry or something like that. Or like a dark, deep wine, like a red wine. Oh, it's so good. So good. I don't think that this is a fragrance that's necessarily for everybody. You know what I mean? This is sort of a very specific point of view. Like I said, like that handsome woman wearing like a fur coat, wearing like a Chanel suit, I think is probably dousing herself in a perfume that smells a little bit like this. It definitely has a bit of a mature vibe to it, but I love it. And this candle performed pretty well. You know what? I think that the last version of Blush Amber and Peony that looked like this, I think that that version was a little bit stronger. I really do. I feel like that version was definitely getting up to like 7.5 or an 8. Like it was quite strong, really strong. I think that they toned this one down just a little bit. I didn't notice any difference like smelling it on cold, but I noticed the difference when I was burning it. It wasn't quite as all-encompassing when I was burning it as that earlier version of it was. That being said, it still did really, really well. I burned it all the way down to the bottom there. It did start getting a little bit swirly and murky around the 1/3 point, and I don't think that that's because I was letting this one burn too much. It had those thick, ropey wicks on it, and sometimes it seemed like the wicks were getting a little bit like oily, and you could see like little sort of swirls of darkness around the wicks once you got down past the halfway point, and that is definitely reflected in the way that the wax looks right now, and even the way that the wicks look right now. A little bit sloppy. Sloppy wicks, guys. I'd say in my more open space this was getting up to like a 7 for sure, maybe even a 7.5. I don't put this candle in the bedroom because it's a little bit much, I think, for me in there, and also not really a bedroom fragrance for me, but it does really well in a more open space. It always has pretty good strength and throw. So yeah, I was happy with it. This would absolutely be a repurchase for me. I've probably got a bunch of backups in my stash. I think I backed this candle up when it came out in the neutrals packaging, and I think that it performed best in the original packaging. I think that this version was the best version, the strongest version. I'd say that this took 3rd place after the packaging in the neutrals line. The neutrals one had thin core wicks on it, and I feel like that one was as strong as the first iteration was, and this is where they've really started to adjust it a little bit more, and I think they took down a little bit of that strength and throw from it. And I can understand why, because maybe not everybody would want this to be like such a barn burner. I mean, the original version of this is so strong. I can understand them taking it down a little bit of a notch. I love Blush Amber and Peony. Anyways, yeah, definitely a repurchase for me. I'm hesitant to recommend it because it's definitely got a very specific personality to it. But the good thing about Bath and Body Works, most of us can like get into a store to smell it before we buy it. So if you like the way that it smells in store, I always recommend that candle. It's a really, really good performer. I also finished up a couple versions of Leaves this fall, and we need to talk about Leaves because neither of these versions I thought really did all that well. We first saw it come out in the White Barn Fall Collection. I liked the packaging on this. I thought the colored glass is really, really nice. Just a plain boring lid on there. And I thought this collection was really, really beautiful. I picked up another Leaves in this collection because I just think it looks stunning. This sort of really gorgeous, like painterly wraparound on it. And it looked stunning when it was burning as well. And I really, really love this oval, like gold shiny border on the text and a green lid. Beautiful candle. However, Leaves this year was very problematic for me. In fact, both of these candles burned exactly the same. So I'm guessing the only thing that changed about it was the packaging, but they both had thick ropey wicks and white wax on them. You can see that on both of these, the wax ended up being a little bit discolored. Leaves has been around for so long. I feel like we all know what this smells like. The scent notes are crisp red apple, golden nectar, and warm clove spice. And yeah, they kept them the same. I love this fragrance. I really do. It's a little bit abrasive. It's a little bit one-dimensional. It's not nearly as nuanced and special, in my opinion, as this autumn candle is. But this is a classic, and I feel like it always performs really, really well up until this year. Both of these were very, very disappointing in terms of just dudding out all of the time. I'd say that the first two burns did pretty well, but then every single burn after that was an absolute struggle. An absolute struggle. Like, it was just, it got to the point with both of these candles where I removed a little bit of wax, which I never do. I feel like that's always like a last resort for me. And it's a very temporary fix to the situation most of the time. You know, when you've got that candle that's just dudding out, itty bitty wicks, teeny tiny flames, you extinguish it. I get rid of a little bit of wax, you know, let it cool, light it another day. And then it might do well for the first hour, but then it just goes back to itty bitty wicks and teeny tiny flames. And so not only do I feel like this is a little bit of a weaker version of Leaves than we usually get, but also since it performed so badly and was always dudding out, that didn't do any favors to the strength and throw either. I'd give both of these a 6 for strength and throw in my more open space, which is not a good grade for Leaves. I'd say that Leaves usually gets up to like a 6.5 or a 7 in my more open space, but due to the fact that it just didn't seem as strong as usual, combined with the fact that it did not burn very well, was just, you know, both of these are probably two of the worst versions of Leaves that I've ever burned from Bath and Body Works. Kind of a bummer, right? Like, kind of a big bummer. We just get completely accosted by this candle every fall and winter. Like, it comes out in so many different collections all the time. And then when semi-annual sale rolls around, there's always still like 3 different versions of this candle left on the floor, you know? I feel like it might benefit Bath and Body Works to take this one away for a couple of years. I think people are kind of getting sick of it, and also the versions that they poured this year really didn't do well at all. I think they might need to like get rid of this for a couple of years and let us miss it a little bit, because I'm so sick of seeing piles and piles of Leaves every semi-annual sale. And it is a fragrance that I like and I enjoy, but after burning these two, I feel like I'm ready to give it a rest for a little while. You know what I mean? Kind of disappointing. Not good burners. And 6, like I said, 6 is acceptable strength and throw for a Bath and Body Works candle, but it's just not the standard that I hold this specific fragrance to. You know what I mean? Anyways, moving on, I finished up a Happy Hanukah from Bath and Body Works. This candle is a bit of an interesting case study, my friends. I like the packaging on this, really beautiful blue clear glass, just a plain boring lid on here. And it's like a berry donut like type of situation, like a very much like a bakery gourmand. And the last time they put out a Happy Hanukah candle, it was something completely different. I feel like it was some sort of like a amber or like an incense fragrance. I don't remember. I never purchased it. But when this one came out, when I first smelled this in store, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so popular. It's going to sell out so fast, but it didn't. And then when semi-annual sale rolled around, these went to 75% off. And so I snagged a bunch of them. I'm actually thinking about Ange, my girl Ange. Hey, shout out to Ange. She has a really good channel, Boots and Mascara, or Boots and Mascara. Love her. She also stocked up on this candle when it came out, and we always talk about like how we stocked up on this candle and we've got so many of them to get through. The scent notes on it are pillowy fried donut, sweet jelly filling, sprinkled with powdered sugar. I've got like no fragrance left in here. This was a melter candle for me. This is the candle that I had under my heat lamp in the kitchen all week. It reminds me the most probably of Wild Berry Jam Donut, except this has much more of a bakery, like starchier component to it. I'd say that in Wild Berry Jam Donut, the most prominent scent note in there is like the wild berry mix, and it's a very strong, like granular berry note, whereas this one, it's like a bakery component that you get first and foremost, like a bread, a starchiness, a sugariness. The berry in here is really nice. I like this fragrance more than Wild Berry Jam Donut. And you guys know I'm not like big on like sweet bakery fragrances, but something about this one was just hit me the right way. And I've really enjoyed this candle as a melting candle in the kitchen. And this is my last one. Angela, how many of these do you have left in your stash? I would love to know. This is my very last one, folks. Yeah, this candle did really, really well under the heat lamp in the kitchen. It's quite strong. I'd say it easily. My kitchen is about a medium size. I never burn candles in the kitchen. I just like to keep stuff warming under the lamp. I'd say it's easily like a 7.5 in there, maybe even an 8. Like very, very strong. I'd say that the first couple of days it's maybe getting up to like an 8, 7.5 for sure. And then obviously the strength and throw kind of reduces with subsequent melting sessions. And then in the end, I put it in the candle crock and just really suck all of the rest of the really suck all of the rest of the fragrance out of this one. I like this Happy Hanukah. I'm surprised that we saw so many of these at semi-annual sale the year it came out. I don't know if people were like just turned off by the packaging or something, but this is one of those berry like bakery gourmand fragrances that you'd think would just completely fly off the shelves. But this one didn't. And so then they put out a Happy Hanukah candle that I never tried or smelled. I'm not sure. Maybe it didn't come out in Canada or I just never saw it or something. But I heard really, really mixed reviews about it. Like it was kind of a weird like incensey or amber candle. I'm not sure. I don't remember all that well, to be honest with you. Anyways, I also finished up some Goose Creek candles. I still have some Halloween candles that I'm trying to get through, you guys. I really liked this one though. This is Twilight Graveyard from Goose Creek. I like the packaging on this Halloween collection. Kind of spooky. It glowed really nicely when it was burning and definitely set that sort of Halloween mood. I really enjoyed this candle, but this was a repackage of a candle that they put out last year. Last year for Halloween, they did a Beetlejuice collaboration, which I loved. I really enjoyed a lot of those candles, and I think that a lot of people did. However, they didn't do the Beetlejuice collection for Halloween this year, so instead they just repackaged a whole bunch of those Beetlejuice fragrances, and this one was Twilight Graveyard. This was a repackage of Here Lies Beetlejuice, which I also really enjoyed because it's like the same fragrance, except I actually think it might have been a little bit stronger this year than it was last year. At least that's the way that it came across to me. It had like colored wax and thick ropey wicks on it. Really, really good one. The scent notes on Twilight Graveyard are graveyard soil, tombstone, moss, and misty fog. A little bit of eucalyptus, I think, is what the misty fog signifies, but it's not like a really like bright mentholy eucalyptus. It's a little bit like green and herby. It's definitely got that sort of like wet moss, kind of like funky vibe to it. My favorite types of Halloween candles are fragrances that are kind of weird but also pleasant, and this definitely falls into that category. You definitely pick up on like sort of a damp, mossy, like soil and earth vibe, and there's just a little bit of like a cooling herbaceousness, I think, from an unlisted eucalyptus note. It smells very green, a little bit funky, almost kind of like that sort of funkiness that you might get from like a lush sort of bamboo type of fragrance, except there's definitely like a dirt, like a soil note in there, you know, like a potting mix soil type of vibe. But overall, though, I'd say that it's a fairly pleasant fragrance. It's just a little bit funky and strange, right? I loved this one, and this candle performed really well. We had a really beautiful colored wax on this candle. I burned it all the way down until there was nothing left. In my more open space, this was easily hitting like a 7 or a 7.5 for strength and throw. It was very noticeable. I loved the way that this candle looked while it was burning. I would absolutely repurchase this candle. I mean, I guess I kind of did, since I enjoyed that Beetlejuice candle so much last year. And they didn't even really change the scent notes on it. I seem to remember the Beetlejuice, it was Here Lies Beetlejuice. That candle had the exact same scent notes on it, so they weren't even really trying to hide the fact that they were repackaging these fragrances. And I think that that makes sense because so many people really like those Beetlejuice candles. I don't think they were trying to hide the fact these were repackages. I think they were trying to signal to us that these are the repackages, but we're not doing a Beetlejuice collaboration this year, so get these instead, right? Yeah, Twilight Graveyard. Really, really like that one. I'll definitely get it again next Halloween if it comes out. I also finished up Moonlit Slow Dance from Goose Creek. Man, I really loved this one. This was a really pleasant surprise this year. I like the packaging enough. I like the way that the wraparound looks, like the blue sort of textured look of this wraparound. I'm not a huge fan of the picture inside this box here. You know, like I was saying earlier, I'm not a big fan of like super literal, cheesy looking photos on candle packaging. We've got like an RV, you know, sitting out by the, like, it's just a little bit on the nose, but I guess it's really what's inside that counts, and I loved this candle. The scent notes are toasted marshmallow, vanilla whiskey, warm sandalwood, and moonlit amber. I mean, these are a few of my favorite things. I don't have an issue with any of those scent notes, and bringing them all together is really, really interesting. There's something almost a little bit strange about this one. I almost feel like they could repackage this as some sort of a Halloween fragrance as well. It's that whiskey note, toasted marshmallow, vanilla whiskey, warm sandalwood, and moonlit amber. There is just a slightly sort of like almost grainy, like fermented sort of vibe to this one. Like, yeah, I mean, when you think about, I was expecting this to be sweeter than it was. I was expecting more of sort of like a marshmallow fireside situation, what with marshmallow, sandalwood, amber. I was expecting it to be sweeter, but that vanilla whiskey note really takes it down a notch or two. It's a very, very smooth fragrance, but there's also something a little bit kind of like sharp and boozy about it, which makes it very different from something like Marshmallow Fireside. It's not nearly as sweet as I was expecting it to be. You don't really get like a sweet, like saccharine fragrance in here, but there is a little bit of a soft, fluffy sweetness, I guess. So yeah, I guess marshmallow makes sense. To me, this is more whiskey, sandalwood, and amber, but it's so nicely done and well balanced and interesting. You know, like I love it when I find a candle that is unlike something I've smelled before. Like I can't think of any candles from Goose Creek or from Bath and Body Works to compare this to. You kind of just have to smell it for yourself. If it is still on the website and people are thinking about getting it, I would just say that it's probably not as sweet as you might be expecting it to be, and that whiskey note definitely comes across. However, it's nothing like, you know, like a coffee and whiskey from Bath and Body Works or anything like that either. Yeah, it's woodsy, it's amber, it's a little bit of like a whiskey vibe. Really, really good. This candle burned beautifully as well. Look at how tall those wicks still are. I feel like I probably could have let this burn a little bit longer, but really nice clean burn from top to bottom. Never deaded out or gave me any issues. And the strength and throw was very good. I'd say this was a solid like 7.5 in my more open space. I never even put this in a bedroom or a smaller space. It was definitely giving me what I needed in the more open area. A pretty solid 7.5. I'll absolutely be repurchasing this next year if it comes out again. And I do believe that this was a brand new fragrance from Goose Creek this year. This one was a winner for me. And I did have to kind of warm up to this one. Like I didn't initially like love it on cold. I liked it, but I didn't love it. By the time I was done about halfway of the candle, I was like fully locked in and obsessed with it. A little bit like Touch of Gold. You know, sometimes fragrances are like songs. You have to listen to them several times before they like click with you and you get really into it. That's what this one was like for me. Oh, Moonlit Slow Dance. Love that one. I've got another really great Goose Creek candle here that I enjoyed. This Wilderness Hike. Oh, I loved this candle. And I don't mind the picture on this one so much. This is from that same collection as the Moonlit Slow Dance was. I'm not obsessed with like the shape of the sort of box in the middle of this, but it was okay. You know what? Let's just be honest here. I really miss Kent doing the designs for Goose Creek. I mean, I'm looking at the winter and Christmas candles this year. I just placed a big order. Man, I wish Kent could have just stayed at Goose Creek because the candles that he designed for Goose Creek were some of the best looking candles that they had ever put out. And now that he's gone, it's very obvious. Especially looking at some of the winter and Christmas candles that they're giving us this year. The packaging is just... Kent really brought a bit more of a sophisticated and elevated style to the Goose Creek candles, but also he designed quite a few candles for them that were fun, you know, like that collection with like birthday cake and strawberry sponge cake. And, you know, he just has like such a great eye for this stuff. And I really, really do miss his designs when it comes to Goose Creek. Anyway, Wilderness Hike. The scent notes on here are wet pine needles, damp leaves, and woodland mist. So they're definitely telling us that this is like a wet, like funky, like forest floor. You know what I mean? Wet pine needles, damp leaves, and woodland mist. I love this fragrance. It does smell like a forest after it's rained, you know? It smells like you are deep in the woods, lots of pine trees everywhere. It's just finished raining, and so everything is like really thick and a little bit humid. It's definitely an autumn day in the forest. And it's not like terrible dark weather, but it just rained and now the sun's come out, and so all that moisture is like heating up, you know? Man, this is a good one. It's so woodsy and rich and fabulous. Like, I love it. The predominant scent note in here are definitely like the pine needles. There's a real sort of balsamy component in here as well. And although it's not listed, I'm picking up on a bit of a cedar wood note. And what else isn't listed is maybe a little bit of a eucalyptus note as well. Yeah, balsam, cedar, and a little bit of green eucalyptus. Oh, I love this one. And it's quite pungent. Like, there's a little bit of like a funkiness in there as well. But it's quite a robust fragrance. Oh gosh, I love this. And this candle performed so well. I burned it all the way down until there was nothing left. That wax is still looking really, really clean. The wicks are still looking really, really good. I mean, this candle just performed spectacularly. Really, really good one. This was so strong too. I'd say in my more open space, easily hitting a 7.5, maybe even an 8. Yeah, I feel like I definitely could give this one an 8 for strength and throw. I wouldn't have put this in a smaller space. It did really, really well in my more open area, and I loved it. This will absolutely be a repurchase for me and a recommendation for you if you're into fragrances that are sort of like this. It's definitely got a bit of a pungent and robust vibe to it. And that sort of like damp earth foresty feel. But man, I really enjoyed that one. Great stuff from Goose Creek this week. One more Goose Creek candle to get through. I finished 2 of these autumn fogs. This is the version that came out last fall, and I just never got around to burning it. I really like this wraparound though. It looked really, really pretty when it was burning. This got a little bit dirty at the end there compared to this year's version. Yeah, this year's version was a much cleaner burn. I don't think that I let this candle burn too long. I think that they must have changed the formula. I noticed differences, burning both of these candles, but, no matter what, I couldn't have let it burn so long that there'd be that much of a difference in cleanliness. You know what I mean? This is just crystal clear, white, beautiful. And this one definitely got a little bit murkier and dirtier. I never let Goose Creek candles burn much longer than 2.5 hours, but might have happened right at the end. No, I definitely remember this one starting to get a little bit murky around the halfway point, but whatever, who cares? This was last year's version, so I'm just gonna speak specifically about this year's version because it was really, really fabulous, and I thought it looked beautiful. This is the kind of candle packaging that I like. Just a really, really simplistic, nice use of color, good old wraparound, autumn fog. Just a plain lid on this one. The scent notes on autumn fog are Italian mandarin, frosted lavender, and icy fog. Were the scent notes the same on last year's version? Yeah, they're just in a different order. Oh, this one has vetiver on it. They dropped the vetiver from this year's version. So last year's is icy fog, Italian mandarin, lavender, and vetiver. And this year's version is Italian mandarin, frosted lavender, and icy fog. They should have kept the vetiver in the scent notes here. I find that these scent notes were a little bit misleading because This is a cologne candle, you know? This is absolutely a fragrance that Bath and Body Works would have in body care, in men's body care. It's definitely a mandel. I really like it though. I like more masculine fragrances like this. Now, Italian mandarin, I don't really get. I would say that it's bergamot. You know, maybe they just didn't want to say bergamot, but it's bergamot, right? That sort of like citrusy note. A mandarin to me would be sweeter than this, even an Italian mandarin. And then frosted lavender, maybe there's just a little bit of a floral in here, but I pick up much more on like some vetiver and some woodsiness, some funky, like grassy vetiver and bergamot. You know, pretty typical recipe for a cologne. Bergamot, eucalyptus, vetiver. I really, really like this one. The candle performed beautifully too. I burned it all the way down till there was nothing left. Look at how clean that wax is. Those wicks are still doing really well. I actually feel like I could probably give this one more burn, but I called it a day at that point. Good strength and throw on this in the more open space, definitely like a 7. Put in the bedroom for a little while, definitely getting up to like a 7.5 or an 8. No complaints about the strength and throw here on Autumn Fog. I thought it did really well. My one word of warning would be that, you know, this smells like a cologne. Not everybody likes candles that smell like a cologne. This definitely has quite a cologne vibe to it. Anyways, let's move on here. I also finished up like a really random candle from DW Home, which is funny because, so this is cereal milk from DW Home. And there's kind of a cute lid on this one, actually. I got this at Winners. I wonder if I still have the price tag on the bottom here. This was originally $14.99, but then it got clearanced off to $9.99, which is why I bought it. So this smells like Fruit Loops, which is so odd. Like, not the type of candle that I usually go for, but in my weekly wax wrap up, you know, just like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I finished burning this rainbow cereal candle from Goose Creek. It smells almost identical to this cereal milk from DW Home. Not really the type of fragrance that I gravitate towards, but that Fruit Loop smell, I mean, just like that Goose Creek candle, this smells exactly like a bowl of Fruit Loops with milk. And the Goose Creek candle was more, had a little bit more of like a crunchy, fruity texture to it. Whereas this one has a bit more of like a smoother Fruit Loop vibe to it. And a little bit more of a lactonic note in here also. It is called cereal milk. A little bit more of a lactonic note, but not a sour one. It's not a sour one. It's actually kind of nice. But, you know, not the type of fragrance that I love, but there's something so nostalgic to me about a bowl of Fruit Loops. My mom would almost never let us have that kind of cereal, but every now and then she'd get some Fruit Loops or some Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and it was like a big treat. And so it's really just the nostalgia of the fragrance that I really appreciate and the reason why I picked it up. DW Home puts out some pretty candles, right? You don't get very good strength and throw from a lot of their candles. I feel like they are a candle brand that is much more into aesthetics and like jars and packaging than they are like a serious home fragrance brand. However, I do have some luck with their candles that are in this format. These are like 16 ounces, I believe, with 2 wicks. And so if you ever are gonna give a DW Home candle a try, I definitely recommend getting something larger with 2 wicks in it, and then you have a chance for some strength and throw. This just smells like a bowl of Fruit Loops and milk. It burned all right up until the end. I'd say that the first half of the candle burned pretty nicely, and then the last half of the candle was a struggle, and it's that catch-22 of, you know, it's 2 wicks, it's a pretty wide diameter, and so you want to let the candle pool out every time you burn it and have a full round wax pool, right? The problem with this candle was that the last half of the candle, as soon as all of the wax fully pooled out, it would start sooting and getting a little bit dirty, and you can definitely see that here. Like I said, first half of the candle burned really lovely, nice, no complaints. Second half of the candle, just a struggle. The wax got really dirty and icky. It started sooting. You can see the soot marks all over the side of the jar there. And so the last half of this candle was burned outside, and I've probably got about an inch of it left, and I just don't care. I'm ready for it to be over. I burned this outside. The last half of it was outside for quite a while, so I wasn't worried about the soot or anything, but I wouldn't want to be burning this candle in my house on a very regular basis. It was just a little bit too dirty, too sooty for me. Strength and throw was not great. I'd say it was like pretty undetectable in my more open space, maybe a 4. Put it in the bedroom for a while, and I could detect it when I was burning it in the bedroom, so I'd give it like a 5. I could tell that it was there, but only the first half of the candle was really good and like burnable. The last half of it wasn't. I don't know why I keep buying candles from DW Home. You know, when you're in Winners and you see that red sticker like clearance price and you smell it and it smells like Fruit Loops, you end up taking it home. I do get burned more often than not by DW Home candles, but I have also had some really, really positive experiences with some DW Home candles. Like, they didn't put them out this year, I don't think. Or at least I wasn't seeing them in the discount retailers. But last year they put out these 3 amazing pumpkin candles. One of them was called Crystal Pumpkin, Storybook Pumpkin, and Magical Pumpkin. All 3 of those candles came in like a larger jar 2-wick format like that. And they all had like really good strength and throw, and I ended up enjoying them. You can actually find reviews for those candles on my channel if you want to search in my playlists. I do have a playlist for DW Home candles, and you'll actually find some candles in there that I thought did pretty nicely. Okay, moving on, I just wanted to talk about this pumpkin scarecrow candle from Village really quickly, because I just couldn't get through it this season. So this is going to be going back into storage for next Halloween. I love the Halloween Village candles. My favorite is probably Ghost Cemetery. I love Ghost Cemetery. Haunted Mansion is also a really good one too. And those are Halloween candles that I've been buying every second year for a really long time now, and I buy them every second year because these candles last forever. They're 21.25 ounces and they have 2 wicks and they burn for 160 hours. So I never actually got around to firing up Haunted Woods and Ghost Cemetery, but I wanted to give Pumpkin Scarecrow a try because I hadn't tried it yet. And awesome fragrance, but the first like quarter of this candle was not doing very well, I'm afraid. I'll talk real quickly about the scent notes. Oh, we have a scent story for Pumpkin Scarecrow here. An aged scarecrow stands overlooking his field of pumpkins with glowing jack-o'-lantern eyes. The rolling hills of amber and smoky woods haunt the foggy evening. A ragged wool shirt hangs from his shoulders while crows touch down for a brief visit. A classic pumpkin fragrance with a ghostly touch creates the perfect hallowed night. I love a good scent story. So the scent notes on top are soft spices, nutmeg, clove, and apple. The mid notes are sweet caramel, coconut milk, toasted almond, and the base notes are creamy vanilla, maple sugar, amber, baked notes, and guaiac wood. Just a really great, God, it's a good one. You actually do pick up on actual pumpkin in here, not just like a blend of pumpkin spices. It's a very woodsy, slightly smoky pumpkin. I'd say it's like semi-sweet. It's not like the sweetest like pumpkin spice fragrance that you'll ever come across, but there is a considerable amount of sweetness in there. I absolutely love the fragrance. Unfortunately, the first quarter of this candle hasn't been doing well, as you can see by like the dragging of the wax all around the edges there. Haunted Mansion and Ghost Cemetery always perform really nicely and pull out properly for me, but this one so far has been dudding out right from the get-go. Like even the first burn, I mean, I must have let the first burn go off for like 3 or 4 hours and it didn't pool out properly. And then on the second burn, I had to start removing some wax from it. And it's kind of heartbreaking too. And even though it was performing so badly, I was getting some strength and throw out of it. Like in my bedroom, I'd say it was getting to like a 5.5 or a 6, despite the fact that it was just itty bitty wicks and teeny tiny flames right from the get-go. The wax definitely has some potency in it. Usually I don't talk about candles until I've completely like burned them, but I just wanted to give you a little update on Pumpkin Scarecrow because now it's going to be going into the back of the candle closet until next Halloween. Anyways, that's all I've got for you folks this week in terms of candles. Quite a bit, actually. We need to get into some Bath & Body Works news because a whole bunch of Candle Day news has leaked now that we need to talk about it. I got most of this information off of Life Inside the Page, that blog spot. I think that this sounds like a fairly accurate list of what we should expect to be seeing in stores. I'm not going to be putting pictures up of these candles, even though they are floating around out there. All of the pictures that I could find, you know, people have like grabbed from each other's websites and put all of their watermarks on them and stamps all over them. I was having a hard time finding like the Bath & Body Works official photographs of these candles without everybody's like watermarks and stuff all over the place, which by the way, I just have to say, I totally understand if you have actually photographed these products yourself, you know, whether you photograph them in the store or you've taken them home and taken pictures of them. If you've actually photographed candles, then absolutely those photos belong to you. And if other people are going to use them, they should absolutely be giving credit where credit is due. But when we're talking about like basically illegally leaked corporate Bath & Body Works information, you don't get to choose how those photos are, you know, gonna be, you know, used throughout the internet. Like everyone's grabbing these photos and putting their watermarks on them and getting mad at other people for stealing them and putting them on website. I'm sorry, you don't get to gatekeep information that has been illegally leaked from corporate. You know what I mean? So I just don't want to get involved in that. You guys can go find all of the pictures of these candles right now because they are definitely floating around out there. So I'm guessing Candle Day is going to happen on December 5th, 6th, and 7th. It's always the first weekend of December. And for the last like several years, I think ever since COVID, Candle Day has been the whole weekend as opposed to just one day, which I think is great. I love the fact that it's all weekend now. I've already told Steve he's coming with me to Candle Day this year. So he was with me last year and we had such a hoot. So Steve's gonna come to Candle Day next month and do a video with me. I'm looking after his cat Bernie right now. Shout out Bernie, because Steve is in Victoria with his partner visiting family. And so I'm looking after Bernie right now, just having the best time. He is like the coolest cat ever. When I walk into Steve's place, he comes up and nuzzles with me. And he's just one of those cats that behaves a little bit more like a dog than a cat. You know what I mean? I love Bernie. Anyways, Steve says hi, folks. So yeah, Candle Day. It's going to be happening December 5th, 6th, and 7th, as far as all of us will assume. You know, none of this is official until Bath & Body Works announces it. And I don't want to speculate on what the price points are going to be like yet. I wouldn't be too surprised if they're the same as last year, which I believe was $9.95 in the States and $11.95 up here in Canada. So anyways, here's what we're getting. There's going to be a white barn line with 4 candles in it: Vanilla Bean, Paris Cafe, Pineapple Mango, and Laundry Day. So those are all scents that are, you know, pretty classic. People love them. Paris Cafe has got to be one of the strongest candles that Bath & Body Works puts out. Same thing with Laundry Day, actually. And then Vanilla Bean, which is one of the weakest candles that Bath & Body Works puts out. But honestly, actually my favorite out of those four. So yeah, there's going to be a White Barn collection with those 4 scents. And then we're getting Smoked Vanilla, which hasn't come out since, I want to say, like probably 10 years, like 2015 or 2016, I think was the last time that we saw Smoked Vanilla. I'm excited for that one. Vanilla Patchouli, I'm also excited for that. And Vanilla Buttermint, I'm excited for that one too. I don't think I've smelled Vanilla Buttermint before, or even Vanilla Patchouli. Maybe those are both 2 new fragrances. If they're not, I don't remember them. So 3 vanilla fragrances: Smoked Vanilla, Vanilla Patchouli, and Vanilla Buttermint. And then we're gonna be getting the savory food fragrances, which I am not gonna be purchasing, I don't think. There's a dill pickle one called Holla Delight. Pizza and ranch and popcorn and slushy. Popcorn and slushy probably sounds to me like it would be like the least offensive of those things. And then there's glazed cherries, hot fudge drizzle. So quite a bit of like foodie stuff. And then there's a collection that will have mahogany coconut and bergamot waters. Those are 2 candles that I actually really enjoy and I'll probably purchase. Then there's a collection with black cherry merlot and cactus blossom, just for all of the people that love black cherry merlot and cactus blossom. We're going to be getting a collection with Tis the Season, black tie, blueberry sugar. Not really my thing. Black tie is pretty nice. I like Tis the Season. Black tie is pretty good. I know a lot of people like black tie. Blueberry sugar is one of those ones that's just a little bit too sweet for me. And then there's a collection that's just gonna say like cinnamon, lavender, but much like Candle Day last year, those fragrances are gonna be cinnamon stick, French lavender, and limoncello. Not really anything I'm super interested in. Fireside is coming back, which I will definitely be picking up. I like Fireside a lot. Also, Vanilla Balsam, one of my favorite fragrances from Bath & Body Works. I've been wondering where my Vanilla Balsam is. Sounds like we'll finally be getting it on Candle Day. Anyway, so just to sum it all up, here's what we're getting. Vanilla Bean, Paris Cafe, Pineapple Mango, Laundry Day, Smoked Vanilla, Vanilla Patchouli, Vanilla Buttermint, Holla Delight, Pizza and Ranch, Popcorn and Slushy, Glazed Cherries, Hot Fudge Drizzle, Mahogany Coconut, Bergamot Waters, Black Cherry Merlot, Cactus Blossom, Tis the Season, Black Tie, Blueberry Sugar, Cinnamon Stick, French Lavender, Limoncello, Fireside, Vanilla Balsam, Brown Sugar and Fig, and Ocean. So I'm not super impressed. I mean, but you know, I've burned so many candles from Bath & Body Works. It's been a while since Candle Day has put out a whole bunch of like great new fragrances that have really impressed me. Like I just don't really expect that to happen anymore. Not looking forward to those savory food fragrances. I'll definitely be getting all of those vanilla ones. I'll definitely be getting Fireside, Vanilla Balsam. I want to try Brown Sugar and Fig. Overall, pretty run-of-the-mill. You know, like pretty run-of-the-mill as far as the selection goes, but Candle Day is always so much fun. Candle Day is always such a hoot, so I'm looking forward to it anyways. Okay, moving on. Goose Creek just dropped a whole bunch of new Christmas and winter candles, so I've been waiting for this to happen. Finally placed an order the other day, and I'm really looking forward to it showing up. I ordered like 20 candles from Goose Creek, so hopefully next Saturday I'm going to have a huge Goose Creek candle haul. Some of the new stuff that just dropped was stuff that I was waiting on to place my order. There's a huge gourmand collection, of course, but it includes Vanilla Snowman. I really like Vanilla Snowman. It reminds me quite a bit of Vanilla Snowflake from Bath & Body Works, and the scent notes on Vanilla Snowman are fluffy marshmallow, marshmallows, vanilla, sugar, and cocoa powder. Like I said earlier in this video, I really do miss the days of Kent doing the designs at Goose Creek. And then there's another like wintry outdoorsy collection. Once again, not a big fan of like the cutesy like woodland creatures, but whatever. I really like Wonderland a lot. I burned Wonderland for the first time last winter and just loved it. The scent notes on Wonderland are crisp peppermint, warm vanilla bean, and precious white woods. So I'm very, very excited for my Goose Creek order to show up. I've been waiting specifically for these candles to come out for me to place a great big order. So I'm looking forward to getting that. And also I wanted to mention for all of the people that are in Canada, Goose Creek has suddenly dropped all of those extra import and duty fees that they were charging us. I don't know what's happening, you guys. Like, it has something to do, I'm sure, with the tariffs, because when the tariffs were first happening, all of a sudden, if you were ordering in Canada, there was an extra fee which said import and duties, and it was about $5 a candle. Like, it was a considerable extra chunk of change. I probably placed like 3 or 4 orders while they were giving us those extra import duties, and I couldn't really figure out how they were calculating it because it was different every time. Most of the time it ended up being like an extra $4 to $6 per candle. It wasn't a flat rate. It was per candle. Now, I don't know what's going on these days with the tariffs and whatnot. I mean, for the sake of my mental health, I haven't been following the politics and the economics as closely as I used to, but something's changed and they've gotten rid of that extra duty and import fee, which is part of the reason why I placed such a massive order. Right now, all we're getting is that $15 flat rate charge shipping to Canada, which I feel like is a really good deal. So yeah, really excited for some Goose Creek. I got a burning question this week from Heather, one of my favorite subscribers out there. Heather, I appreciate your participation in my channel so much, and I love it when I see an email from you. So Heather wrote in to allabootcandles@gmail.com, and she says, "Hi, Auntie Greg. I heard about a new show starring Kim Kardashian called All's Fair. That's supposed to be so funny that many are hate watching it. I really can't stand the Kardashians, but I'd be willing to stomach it if you were to also hate watch and dish about it. It has the potential to be just as fun as And Just Like That. Sad in the City." I see what you did there, girl. Thanks. Your girl from the States, Heather, aka Apropos Heather. Hey, girl. You know what? I have been hearing about this show as well, this All's Fair show. It does look so bad that it's good. Heather, I know that The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City was not your first choice in shows for me to be doing recaps of. And so, you know what? I'll tell you this. I'm going to watch the first episode and see how I feel. I believe that in the States you can watch All's Fair on Disney Plus. No, on Hulu, because Hulu is owned by Disney Plus. In the States, you can watch this new show on Hulu. Up here in Canada, you can watch it on Disney Plus, and it does look so bad that it might be so good. It's done by Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy, just like and Sex and the City and Just Like That with Michael Patrick King. Michael Patrick King has very similar vibes as Ryan Murphy does. You know, like capable of brilliance and genius levels of television making, but also capable of just some of the worst stuff that you've ever seen in your life. Ryan Murphy is the guy that does the American Horror Story series. And American Horror Story, I mean, you have some seasons of that show that are amazing, like Coven, and then you have some seasons of that show that just miss the mark so bad that they're basically unwatchable. Ryan Murphy definitely does lots of good hate watch stuff. So I'm going to watch the first episode and keep you posted for sure. Ryan Murphy also did what was it? The American crime show about O.J. Simpson. It was like American Crime Story, the O.J. Simpson trial, which was amazing. I believe it had like Cuba Gooding Jr. as O.J. Simpson and Ross from Friends, David Schwimmer as like Rob Kardashian, I think. Anyways, that was amazing. Like Ryan Murphy, just like Michael Patrick King, capable of brilliance, capable of trash. And I gotta tell you, that All's Fair, it does look right up my alley, Heather. So I think I'm definitely going to have to at least check out the first episode, and we'll take it from there, okay? But I do need to get into a really quick recap of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Not a lot happened this episode. It was really kind of more of the same. These women, man, oh my goodness, just no manners, no couth, no nothing. Last week ended up with a big fight on the ship, and this week was very, very similar to last week, honestly. Just being on the ship and fighting over dinner. I mean, the episode starts off with Bronwyn waking up on like a folding chair on deck because I guess Bronwyn showed up to the yacht late. And so she didn't get to choose her room. She just got stuck sharing a room and sharing a bed with Brittany. Bronwyn was not interested in doing that, and they got into a fight in the middle of the night. And so the episode opens up with Bronwyn like waking up on like this chair on the deck with like blankets all over her. And the ship crew are watching her and they're like, I think she's waking up. I wonder what happened. She slept down here last night. What the heck? So Bronwyn's waking up just like, and one of the shipmates come over to her and they're like, hey, they're like, how are you? Can I get you something to drink? Like a water or some coffee maybe? And Bronwyn's like, actually, I'd really like a Dr. Pepper. Like, what? I can imagine waking up after spending the night outside on a cruise ship, waking up and being like so hungover, being like, a Dr. Pepper would really hit the spot. Ugh, she is just so weird. For those of you who don't know, they're doing like a crossover. So we've got the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City meets Below Deck Down Under. And I love Below Deck. Below Deck is a really, really fun show on Bravo too. And the captain on Below Deck Down Under is so hot. Ooh. So anyways, I guess that they're doing like this crossover. So on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we're seeing it from the perspective of the housewives. But I guess that when Below Deck Australia airs, we're going to see all of this play out from the perspective of Below Deck and all of the people that work on this yacht. I'll be very, very excited to watch that because twice now, the girls have invited the sexy captain to join them for dinner, because they sit down every night for a very fancy dinner cooked by a very fancy chef. And they've been inviting the captain to like sit with them for dinner, and they start fighting and throwing glasses at each other and yelling at each other and screaming, throwing stuff at each other. The poor deck crew have to like vacuum up the broken glass. And so the captain has never actually sat through a dinner with them. He always gets up like 10 minutes in and just pieces out. Like, these women are nuts. I don't want to have anything to do with this. So anyways, Bronwyn wakes up and needs a Dr. Pepper. They're all waking up just hung over AF because they spent all night last night out on the deck fighting with each other and drinking. So they're all hung over. They're like, what happened last night? What happened last night? Oh my God. Well, spoiler alert, you all picked fights with each other and drank yourselves into oblivion and argued until the poor deck crew are just standing around like, what the heck do we do with these crazy women? And Heather Gay is really standing her ground. And, you know, they're all accusing Lisa of planting stories about all of them. You know, whenever Lisa gets mad at one of these girls, all these stories start showing up in the press, all these negative stories about them. And most recently, she hasn't been getting along at all with Bronwyn. And so guess what? All of these negative stories about Bronwyn keep popping popping up everywhere. And it's stuff that doesn't even really matter anymore. Like, she got evicted from an apartment 20 years ago when she was like in college and she was pregnant. And it also sounds like she like worked at a bank a long time ago. And the bank was involved in some sort of a lawsuit that she cooperated with, but the case was like sealed, so nobody knows what happened. And Bronwyn was never accused of anything, never had a mugshot, never had a record, nothing. But for some reason, these stories are like showing up in the press with a really negative twist to them. Everybody, including Heather, think that Lisa is planting these horrible stories about her. And last night at dinner, Heather looked right at her and was like, Lisa, I think that you're the one planting these stories. And so this week's episode was really all just a massive fallout from that. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to lovely Cece. She thinks that I'm being way too nice to Heather Gay, and maybe I am, but this season, she seems to be one of the only people with like any sort of calm, cool collectiveness whatsoever. The only one who's not making a complete and total fool of herself. And so Angie recounts Lisa saying that Todd was making out with someone at some sort of party somewhere. So Todd is Bronwyn's really grumpy husband who doesn't want Bronwyn to be on the show, doesn't want to have anything to do with anything. I think that this show is going to be divorce court for Bronwyn and Todd. Like, they're not going to make it through any more of this. Like, if Bronwyn really wanted to save her marriage, she would just have quit doing this show last season. I think we might end up eventually seeing their whole divorce play out on this show because Todd is just not having it. And so they go out to lunch, like they take a tender boat out to the beach and have like a nice lunch. They're managing to get along pretty well. Then they all go back to the boat because tonight they're having another big dinner and it's a theme night. It's the real zombies of the yacht apocalypse. So they're all getting decked out in their corniest, like, zombie costumes. Just ridiculous. Like, good Lord. Let's all put on zombie makeup and fake knives in our skull so that we can sit down at another dinner and, like, fight all night long. Like, my goodness. And the producers, like, just have a little bit too heavy a hand in this stuff. Real zombies of the yacht apocalypse. Like, at the beginning of the season, when they went RVing in that sad, ugly-looking forest, there was like this whole Blair Witch theme that the producers were making them do and like film themselves. And so we're getting shots of them all in their like zombie gear with like a black and white filter on them. And Lisa says to Bronwyn, as if things couldn't get any worse at this point, they're sitting down for dinner and Lisa's like, Bronwyn, she's like, one of my friends told me that they saw Todd making out with a girl at a lounge and he was farting the whole time. What? Out of nowhere, Lisa now decides this is the perfect time to tell Bronwyn that Lisa says that one of her friends saw Todd at some random bar and he was making out with somebody and farting the whole time. I'm so confused here. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what is motivating Lisa here. Lisa is not coming across very well in this season at all. I don't understand what is motivating Lisa to do this. And I'm also sick of these storylines. Like, it can't be a storyline that, like, this he said, she said stuff. Like, my friend who I'm not gonna name was at a lounge that I'm not gonna name and saw Todd making out with somebody that I'm not gonna name and was farting the whole time he was making out with her. How does this happen? This doesn't make any sense. Lisa, what are you doing? You are digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're like so staunchly defending that you're not guilty of planting all these horrible stories about Bronwyn in the press, but you're gonna get on camera on this show and choose this moment in time to tell Bronwyn that her husband's probably cheating on her and farts a lot? What? I'm so confused. This doesn't make any sense. This is getting into a really, really weird territory as far as I'm concerned. I have to tell you, my favorite part of this episode is just watching Mary try to figure life out. Like Mary, even though I think she's a pretty evil woman, I think Mary's kind of evil. I think she's a bad mother, and I think she's a criminal as well. She used to run that like scam church where she'd collect all this money from her parishioners. So Mary kind of scares me, but she's also hilarious, like genuinely hilarious. And my favorite part of this episode was just like watching Mary try to figure out her life. Like she's trying to put on her caftan. She's got like a big straw hat on, and she's trying to put this caftan over her head, and it's like, oh, can somebody help me here? Can somebody help me? I can't get this on. Mary, take the hat off, put the caftan on, and then put your hat back on. Like she's struggling, like, oh God, you guys, I guess no one's gonna help me get this on. Like, what the heck is going on? And then once Mary's in all of her zombie gear, she can't figure out how to make the doors open on the yacht. She's like, someone, I don't know, it's not working. Like these doors aren't working. And you can hear one of the yachties off camera say to her, just turn the knob on the right. Mary's like, oh, okay, there we go. So Mary's figured out now, I think, like how to put on a caftan and how to open the doors on the yacht. And then she sits down, they pour her a glass of wine. She looks at it, like freaks out. Excuse me, this isn't my lipstick on this wine glass. This isn't my lipstick. These are very thin looking lips. My lips aren't this thin. My lips aren't this thin. Could I get another glass of, excuse me? Like, good Lord, Mary. These women. I just can't. Anyways, yeah, not exactly the most eventful episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, but it was all worth it just to like watch Mary try to put that caftan on for a solid 30 seconds. Good Lord. Oh, folks, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got to get out of here. Going out for dinner with the boyfriend tonight. Really excited for that. Let me know what you guys are up to. What are your plans for your Sunday night? What are you burning right now? Let me know in the comments below what you're burning. If you could hit me up with a subscription, give me a like, give me some hype points. That would really mean the world to me. I already got the barbershop done. The gym is done. Got my iced coffee. Gonna go meet a friend for a little while and then going out for dinner with the boyfriend. We're gonna go to the Keg tonight. I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna get at the Keg tonight. I think the Keg, that's like a Canadian restaurant. I think that the closest thing they have to it in the States is kind of like a Ruth Chris steakhouse. It's kind of like one of those situations. I love the Keg. I mean, it's not like the most spectacular steakhouse in the world by any means, but it's really yummy and tasty and consistent, and we are regulars there. My mouth is already watering thinking about it. I think we're gonna do a shrimp cocktail, and they have these really good like crispy cauliflower bites. I'm gonna have to convince the boyfriend to share 2 appetizers with me because I need that crispy caramelized cauliflower and the shrimp cocktail. And then I think I'm gonna do like a filet mignon with like the blue cheese. They have this amazing like blue cheese filet mignon, like this blue cheese crumble on top of it with a twice baked potato and like honeyed vegetables. You know when you're going out for a good dinner? And I mean, I just think about it all day long. I've been thinking about what I'm gonna order. I've been thinking about the martini with blue cheese, stuffed olives, the shrimp cocktail. I'm very excited. So I've been eating like a rabbit all day, you know? Just a couple of veggies here, a little light snack, and then at dinner tonight, I'm gonna throw down. I'm throwing down at dinner tonight. Maybe a little Montenegro on the rocks for dessert. Let me know what you guys are up to for dinner tonight. Let me know what you're burning right now. I love you for watching today. You can follow me on Instagram at allaboutcandles and email your burning questions to allaboutcandles@gmail.com. If you could hit me up with a like, comment, subscribe, that would mean the world to me. And until next time, my dear, gorgeous, and beautiful candle-loving friends, Let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, you guys. Bye for now.